So there was a telephone calling our head from the SS, and I was sitting at the desk, so I heard he was told that we have to march out the next day to Tyrol. Tyrol, there was no. Tyrol was a border between Austria and Germany, and there were the big mountains, and they took from all camps, they gave orders to bring them down, and they killed them in the mountains there. But he was fooled. They told him that they have an order to bring all the concentration camp people to Switzerland, and this was also the border of Switzerland, and he believed in it. But nevertheless, the next night, so there was a roll call, and by 4 o'clock in the morning on the 24th of April 1945, we started to march. There were a big connection between two Jewish doctors, which were in our camp, with the head of the camp, an assessment. They made some deal, in my estimation, that they will save him. They knew that they lost the war already. I mean, Germany was practically occupied at that time. So they promised him that they will save him later. So we marched around, but never marched further near out of it. So 3 days later, this was 4 days later, on the 30th of April, the night of the 30th of the 1st of May, we were liberated by the American army.
Did you ever at any time, you were liberated, could you describe what it was like, the liberation, how you became aware of it?
Liberation was so, you see, we marched for 4 days and 4 nights. In the nights, they put us in, let's say, in an empty place, and we were lying on the grass the whole night. And the next morning we start to walk again, so we walk, as I mentioned. I didn't know where we walked, but later we find out that this was the deal. And this was around 6 o'clock in the evening on April the 30th, 1945. So they hold us at that time in a big, like Madison Square Garden in some town in Germany. And we didn't walk out the whole day because they knew this a matter of hours, the Germans.
How many people?
Let's say a few thousand, I don't know exactly. But in the meantime, they passed by the Germans, they ran away, so they looked to save themselves. So the previous head of Auschwitz, Moll was his name, he passed by with let's say with 20 assessmen or so. He wants from our Gestapo men to take us over and to take us somewhere to finish us out. So there was a big fight between them. Then they left and we remained. This was by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By 6 o'clock, the Americans came run over. So how it was, it came in a chaplain. I don't know if it was a Jewish one, and he told us that we are free. And I got at that time maybe 41 temperature, or maybe 4. I became so hot. And so it was. Now with me, an entire story. Then I was only a few days in Germany thereafter.
So you were with your brother at the time of the liberation.
Yes.
You were together.
Yes.
Were you able to get any news from the outside? Did you know what was going on outside of where you were? How Germany stood vis-a-vis the war? What was happening?
How Germany?
Yeah.
No, as I told you, I was a few days later. I was already in Switzerland. I mean, most of the people, practically all of the people, were there for years.
How were you able to get to Switzerland?
I will tell you, this is a story. You see, in Switzerland, there was Jewish organizations which they send out passports to some people in different countries. It's maybe not nice to say for prominent people, for high Zionistic people, they send out passports, Paraguay passports. They bought us Paraguay, Uruguay, Honduras, and so they worked it out in Bern with the embassies. And they send in passports to Germany. In the beginning, the German government recognized this, and they put those people in separate camps. Then this was for a year or two. They sent them to France, to Tyrol, and to Vitel. But then the Gestapo, then officially the governments, not the embassies, they denied the entire story. So then they took all the people to Auschwitz. Understand what I'm saying? I sent over to, I got a family in Poland, an uncle, which was a member of Congress in Poland. From the Jewish part, it was maybe 20 or so. And one of them also was in Switzerland in the committee. So to the person which was managing, to the German who was managing our factory, he sent me out a letter to him, to Switzerland. And I got a postal card back that they sent out, they call us a Liebespaket, a love package, but we couldn't describe what we want. So I was figuring, this is a story, it's unbelievable. I was figuring that I got some passports in Bern. And when I was liberated, so the Secretary of State of Switzerland passed by Augsburg, passed by from Berlin to Switzerland. And he was staying in a place which Mary Pickard got a villa in this neighborhood, and he was staying for over the night. So I and 6 people, my brother and 4 other people, we tried to get in, and I saw him, and we started to discuss in the hostel. So he said he will take us to Switzerland the next day. So the next morning he sent over his chauffeur, and he took us to Switzerland. From Switzerland, I told you, from Switzerland I got legally 3 weeks later to Israel, the certificate. This is a unique story. So I was in Israel in 45 already, in May 45, and all the other inmates are still eating the chips from potatoes. So I was already in Israel legally. And there's a story to it that Mrs. Rosmarin was liberated in Belgium. And she was a nurse there was practically thousands sick people, dying people. So there was nurses from Switzerland. And one nurse, this was in May, and one nurse got a telegram from her father that her father died. So she returned to Switzerland. So when she came to say goodbye, so my wife gave her a letter to somebody in Switzerland that she's looking for a family, so and so and so. When I came to Switzerland a few days before, there was in the Swiss papers that a few people from Auschwitz. So the next day I got already her letter. But I still went to Israel. She was angry with me for a month. But I got a certificate already to go to Israel, so I said to myself, this is between us. Do I stay Jewish, or I don't stay Jewish anymore? Because I got the chance to go to see Israel, so I said, let me see if there's a world, So I went to Israel, and I was there 2 months in Israel. In Israel I found a letter by her uncle already from her. And then I went to the English government, and they gave me a certificate for my wife, and I went back legally to Germany. And then we went back to Israel.
Together with the wife?
Yes, and then we left and we went to America. This is a quick start.
What are your feelings today about how the Holocaust and the persecution affected you, and how did it influence your life?
I will make a joke. If you will sleep with me, there's no second night that I shouldn't yell or I shouldn't get up and tell the stories and the stories. And I give them in.
Did you ever talk
Don't
about...
mind me for the what I said. So
Did you ever talk about your experiences when you first...
we are talking practically at least twice a day. There's no time when we get together between our people or whatever that this shouldn't be the end of before good night.
You shared it mostly with the people that had shared a similar experience?
No,
with
most of the time we only in surrounding of our people, most of the time. So whenever you start, you came at the end. You came only to discuss about in one word, the final word. If God would like to create an Auschwitz, He will not be able to do it. There's nobody in the world can imagine and can understand what Auschwitz was. Even I'm alive, I survived, and I don't by myself cannot believe that this happened, that could be such a thing. You came, here people are playing sake. He is the biggest orchestra in the world with the most famous musicians. Here a father with a son are fighting about not a piece of bread, about the crumbs of bread. Here people are marching to the crematoriums. It's unbelievable. This is nobody can understand it. This is undescribable. What should I tell you? I mean,
You described before your feelings about going to Israel and seeing what was there. How did it affect your feelings about being Jewish? You described a little bit about it.
you see, after you find that you have, let's say, 2 brothers, you have a wife, you see a lot of other people, it's not so easy, I mean, after you brought up as a yeshiva bucher, as an Orthodox boy in an Orthodox family, to change it. But I wish, it's not a nice statement, and you will be angry at me, I wish that this would, or we should be kol hagoyim, like all other people, not to be the korban from the time Jewish people start to exist till today, and it will be tomorrow the same.
So, as compared to when you were your childhood before the war,
Yeah.
do you feel that today you're more or less religious? Do you feel
I'm absolutely less.
less religious?
Yes.
Did you ever apply to Germany for a pension for
I
a
did.
Wiedergutmachung?
I did.
Yes. What was your experience when you applied? How were you treated? How?
Well, let me tell you this. I know a lot about this restitution. You see, for example, in the beginning they gave a person from Auschwitz or from concentration camps, they gave him 150 D-Mark per month. They figure 60 months, 5 years. So they gave him 9,000 D-Mark, which is in comparison 9 mark, let's say to $4,000. This is a lump sum for the time, for the time we were sitting in the concentration camps. I will give you $5,000 for each German, for top people today, not to keep them 5 days, not to keep them 5 days in concentration camp into those circumstances. But if you take people that came out from a concentration camps wearing, let's say, underwear from a tallis, because when they brought the Hungarian people in 1944, they brought around 600,000 Hungarian people. And the Hungarian people, most of them were religious with Halaism, So they accumulate about 25 or 30,000 Talaisim in Auschwitz. So they brought us to our command, to the tailor command, to make underwear for the inmates from the Talaisim. So when you let out a person from Auschwitz, his weight is 38 kilo, I would say, by 85 pounds, at the age of 26 years. with only in his possession, so he takes the $9,000. The 9,000 mark. This is, if I would, let's say so, if the people in America, which were in Iran, so the entire time there was such a thing. I mean, it is, but if you want to compare it, you cannot compare it not to a minute, only to a second of Auschwitz, the entire time, the entire year or so. So a lot of people did not, and a lot of them did. Took the 9,000 mark in the beginning to start to buy yourself a suit. But I will ask you this question: what could they do? The freed people after the war. I mean, who gave him a hand? Which country? I mean, who gave him a hand? Now we are talking about the joint send in food and so on, but to build himself up.
Do you talk to your children about your experiences?
Yes.
Do you tell them?
Yes, a lot. They know as much as I told you now.
What is their feeling? What is their reaction?
No, I cannot answer for them. I mean,
what is your feeling, as many people discuss, about the possibility? Can it happen again? Is
yes,
it possible?
it's possible.
Do you feel that it is?
Yes, absolutely. If you will have, we must understand this. It cannot happen when you don't have the government cooperating with them. If you have a government which permits such things, I will ask you, if you will have a government, a similar government, even in the God blessed United States, if you will give permission to the lower class of people, to murder and to rob and to go into you or to me and to take out, with the permission of the government, to grab everything, will they not do it? You will find only on the type of people, the better type of people. But the better type of people, you have 25% in comparison to 75 uneducated people. Take it in this country. If they got the permission to go in, that I will have the permission to, I'm talking about myself, to take over mssas, or to take over Gimbals, or to be the head of the Chase Manhattan Bank, but and have the permission and the legality of the government. But one thing is which is wrong with our Jewish people. If they are talking about German people, they're talking about Nazis, and this is wrong. And this bothers me all the times when I hear speeches. The Nazis and the Nazis. What do you mean the Nazis? The entire German people is responsible for what happened, not the Nazis. The Nazis was a party, and they permitted the party to come to power. And when it was, let's say, elections, there was 99% for Hitler. The entire German population knew what goes on and what they did to. And what the wall did to them. For example, today, as they are saying, if somebody kills a person, it's a tragedy. If he kills 10,000, is a statistic. What the world did to the German population, to the German people, what kind of punishment they gave them. They gave them a Marshall Plan, they built them up, and I go to Germany. I wasn't there. I was there as a witness in Germany. Go see how they build up a country. And this is what they got. This is their punishment, what they got for killing so many people. They killed 6,000 Jewish people, 15,000 Russian, 50 million, 6 million Jewish, 15 million Russians, altogether 50 million people. But who punished them? If you are talking about circumstances, in the name of God, if they are sitting a Mengele, if you would see people from the experimental people, if you would knew them like I do, because they took the people from our block where I was in. They took around quite a few hundred young boys till the age of 24. If I wouldn't be 26, I would be there too. There was from 800 there survived 3 or 4 people, which I know them, they're from my town, because they took the people from our block, which only from our town were there. 4 remained, and if you would see, until they were liberated by dying, how they suffered, how they walk, like with the hand and legs so. And this Mengele, which did these jobs, these cruel jobs, sit still alive after 40 years without bringing to justice, tell me where's the justice in the world. Tell me for what reason they are keeping him. For what reason they are not bringing him to justice, that the world should see what happened and what kind of a punishment belongs to him. Tell me why. And answer now. Let me somebody answer this. They let him alive to live in luxury, and they will. If I will pay 5,000 taxes less, they will put me in jail. And they are sitting such world criminals. I mean, not criminals from one person. Criminals from millions of people, millions of children, with no reason, with no nothing, and nobody bothers. Here we are the same. If the world, what goes on in the other parts of the world? If what goes on in Afghanistan, what are you doing? Put in Russia, how many people you have in mental houses in Russia? How many million of people? So you're asking if this can happen again? It can.
Aside from your description before of having difficulty sleeping at night and recurring dreams and nightmares about it.
I will answer your question.
Yes.
You see, if you come in an age, as I mentioned to you, if you start to suffer, I mean, this is a common known thing, that those people are getting easier sick. And but you have some individuals which they're a few percent which are stronger, but normally if this affects 100%, there's no question about
it. Is there anything else that you feel that we haven't touched on, something that you
let me tell, the answer is this. If I should start to tell you stories, the 1985 will not be enough. That's the reason I told you in the beginning, I can only answer your questions. Because to start to talk, because my children, my family is after me for years, I should write a book, and I don't want to. There's no use. With all the books, if you ask me questions, I will gladly answer you. To tell you stories, I can start. Every minute is a book for itself.
But if these things are told, I think
yes,
there is a use.
Yes, it is. Absolutely, it is.
How did you feel about this interview? How did you feel about being interviewed, about being taped tonight?
No, it's okay with me. I don't mind. But I will tell you this. I don't believe in human beings. Do you understand? When I was after Auschwitz, I don't believe in mankind. So if you ask me if I was, let's say, if I would bother that I should be interviewed, I would say no. If Mrs. Rosmarin would not make the appointment, I wouldn't do it. Because as I mentioned before, what do you see from mankind? What they did after such a Holocaust. Did you see a father is fighting with a son about a piece of bread until blood? You are wondering that I said so. I don't believe in mankind, in good human people. If they are, because they have it good, and it doesn't bother them to give away charity or so because they have it here. But as long as they have to fight for their piece of bread, so I don't believe in them. I don't want to express myself.
I'd like to end by thanking you very
You're
much.
very welcome. It was my pleasure.
And we hope that the feelings that you share with us about
No,
how...
I will tell you this. I mean, if somebody asks me, are you angry? Are you still angry? Are you ready to forgive? I said no and never. I mean the German people. Never and no. I hate them that if there is a God, and which he paid them back the way he paid them back what they did to the Jewish people. So if there is a God, let him show that he is. This is, I mean, that's my opinion. If I am angry, I am angry. If I will forgive them, never. If I will be able to kill a German, I would. If you want it for record, have it. If you don't want it, don't have it. I would. I would. So don't have it in the record.